Welcome, everybody, to the Two versus Brother podcast. We are here again today to discuss our way too early rankings for next year. Let's see what the first round has for us. Alfredo, how are you doing today?
Good in you, man. Definitely. We're already looking forward to the next fantasy football season, 2024. Definitely, let's get to it. I'm gonna
Alrighty. So go ahead and you start.
I'm gonna start with my top 12 players. This mock draft is people that we think that they're gonna go within the first 12 picks based on projections. This is a half PPR league, so this will be based on a half PPR league. We're gonna base it on what people would normally select, and these are my players. At number one, and I think this is no surprise to everybody, is gonna be Christian McCaffrey at number one. And the reason why Christian McCaffrey will be number one because he's a position that running back he has maintained himself being healthy, is in a dominant offense, and is an offense that's willing to give him the ball. Question mark could be that next year could be the year that he can break down, since he got a lot of carries. He maintained himself healthy for the most part this year, so that could be a concern. At number two, I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill, wide receiver for the Dolphins. Why do I think Tyreek will be there? Because we expect the Dolphins to be more of a healthy team. I expect Tyreek to have the opportunity to go back and get his 2,000 yards. And the Dolphins offense is an offense that they love to throw the ball. And as you see with the Dolphins, they heavily targeted Tyreek. Even if he's double team, triple team, and then he's always going to throw you the bomb, that big bomb play. So I do Tyreek at number two. And at number three, another wide receiver, and it's going to be Jamar Chase. Why did Jamar Chase this year was not a full-on first round? Himself, he wasn't healthy, but then also his quarterback. Joe Burrow will be back healthy next year, and the Bengals will be back into heavy contention. And that's why Jamar Chase, without the worry of potentially the free agency of T. Higgins, he's going to get the majority of the receptions, of the targets. And that's why I expect a monster year for Jamar Chase. At number four is going to be the number one receiver of this year, CeeDee Lamb, at number four. Why number four? I have a feeling that the Cowboys will continue feeding him the ball. Prescott is going to be, he's not going anywhere. The offense is still going to be dynamic. CeeDee Lamb, as you saw through the last couple of weeks, was a top wide receiver after the San Francisco game of week 6 that he didn't get much target. He was a number one in the league after that, which won many people. So basically, you can get a steal CeeDee Lamb at number four. Number five, I have Jetta, Justin Jefferson. This guy was the number one overall pick in the majority of the draft was between him and McCaffrey in 2023. Why is there a drop off? And interestingly, that with 8 games that he played this year, he hit 1,000 yards. So it shows how great he was with instability in quarterbacks, with injuries. But the big question won't be himself, is who's going to be quarterback. If Kirk Cousins comes back, then Jetta should be where he belongs at top. But since there is a big question mark of who's going to be the quarterback, I project that Jetta in future mock drafts will be dropped because of that. At number six, this is going to be the number two running back that I have, Kyren Williams. Rams offense has been excellent. They throw the ball, they have the receivers, but Kyren Williams is the machine And from the moment that he came back from the IR, Kyron Williams was probably the number one or two running back that we had in fantasy football. And we project he's only 23 years old that he's going to continue on this projection. Number 7, AJ Brown. The Eagles are with their little slump at the end of this year. They might be going to a transformation, but the reason why, and the Eagles will realize, is that when the Eagles were their best, is because they were feeding the ball to AJ Brown. And somehow in the last couple of weeks during the regular season, AJ Brown is not receiving the ball. I the Eagles this year, 2024, will know about the importance in AJ Brown. He is a stud of a receiver. He deserves to be a first round draft pick. Number 8, and this man is Amon St. Brown for the Detroit Lions. He's the number one receiver for a top 5 offense. So what does that mean? Targets, catches, yards, and touchdown. Shouldn't be a question to be a very capable quarterback that can help Amon St. Brown. I think at number 8, he could be this. He's going to be entering his 4th year. And every year that we have seen St. Brown, he has projected his numbers have been higher and higher. So I wouldn't be surprised toward the end of the year of 2024 that St. Brown can be probably a top 3 player. But in the draft, he will be number 8. Number 9, and a lot of the fantasy owners, especially the ones that are in dynasty leagues and love this guy, got the great news today. Bijan Robinson, the head coach of the Falcons, got fired today. And basically, Arthur Smith was hated by a lot of the fantasy football players. A lot of leagues were upset because of the way that he used. Well, in his second year, Bijan Robinson, who was in the draft prospect as one of the best running backs to come out, we believe this will be the year that he will be unleashed. And last year he went late first round, but since we don't know exactly the head coach, we project he's going to be 9th, but he is on his way up, maybe even top 4 by the end of the year. Number 10, another running back that's going in his second year, Jahmyr Gibbs. Same thing about St. Brown. Anybody from this Lions offense is great. Yes, the big question mark is Montgomery, if they're going to continue splitting. But as we saw, as the year continued, the Lions became more explosive when Gibbs was the premier running back. He demonstrated that he is capable of having big production, big touches, and that he could avoid. Number 11, another running back, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor will be a full year in the offense. And amazingly, Jonathan Taylor had a good year without having the franchise quarterback for the Colts. Before Richardson got hurt, he was on his way to have a better year than CJ Stroud. So I'm curious to see the next year how that dynamic of Richardson and Taylor. I feel that Jonathan Taylor will have a monster year because teams will have to respect Richardson's running. Yes, he could be taking maybe some of the rushing yards, but this offense will be primarily a running team. So I think Jonathan Taylor this year will be in the first round. And at number 12, Jacksonville running back Travis Etienne. And the reason is because the Jaguars realize they need to give this guy the ball more. When the Jaguars were their best, Etienne, not Trevor Lawrence, was their best player. And when they went to the rough stretch at the end, was because They didn't have a good running game. They were not giving him the ball. So I feel that Travis Etienne, in his fourth year, will continue having a breakthrough season. So these are my early 2024 mock draft for fantasy football. What do you think, Pedro?
I think it was these are pretty safe decisions that you made there. As for some of the picks that you made, for the most part, I agree with a lot of them. But there are a few people that I think maybe should not be as high as you have them, such as Jamar Chase. I do not see Jamar Chase having a monster year like you say he is. It doesn't seem to me that the Bengals are doing enough to make sure that their quarterback is healthy coming into the year. We've seen in the past few years that Burrow goes into the year hurt every single year for the past few years. You know, it doesn't bode well for a top one wide receiver that their quarterback is hurt. And of course, he dealt with some injuries this year as well. That's why I don't see Jamar Chase as high as you do.
Okay. Let's
But
hear your power rankings. Let's hear your mock draft. What do you have to say, Pedro? What?
All right, sure.
How's your? Let's reveal Pedro's 2024 early mock draft.
All right, let's start with the number one. Everybody knows who this is. This is the man. This is CMC, Christian McCaffrey. There's no one like him. There's no one that's ever going to be like this guy in the situation that he is in currently in San Francisco. I don't understand how this guy was basically traded away by the Panthers and walked into a juggernaut of a team and made them even better. You know,
Yep.
There was a lot of issues in San Francisco with the running back position, a lot of injuries that were going on in the prior years. But CMC has stayed healthy the whole year and has pretty much made sure that Brock Purdy is able to throw the ball effectively because there's always a threat of the run, and that's why this man is at number one, CMC. No one like him, and I'm sure this man's going to go number one in everybody's list. Then, of course, is Tyreek Hill. We've seen what he's been doing with the Dolphins. It's 2 years in a row that we've pretty much seen this man. Well, he's been doing it since pretty much the Chiefs days. He's basically the number one threat anytime he's on the field. That's the key. Is he always going to be on the field? This year he was striving for those 2,000 yards. Is he going to make it next year? We can only assume, but we know what the plan is. Can he be the one to make it to 2,000 yards and be the first wide receiver to do that? Now, this is where we're going to have a little bit of a change because I believe your number 3 was Chase. My number 3 is going to be CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has no issues with his quarterback. CeeDee Lamb is going into a year that everybody expects him to do well. And when the lights are brightest in Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, he balls out. This is a guy that is the number one target for Dak Prescott. He's doing everything that needs to be done for the offense. And at this time, it doesn't seem to me like there's a clear number 2 in that offense, but we do know there's a clear number 1. And he gets the ball whenever it is that Dak Prescott's running for his life. And a lot of times it's going straight to this guy. So we're going to continue on with this list to Justin Jefferson. Now, Justin Jefferson is running into a little bit of a situation where the problem with him is that his quarterback, like you said, Alfredo, is going to be out. And we don't know if he's going to stay there. We don't know where he's going to go. He's a 36-year-old quarterback that's coming off of a major injury. Now, we don't know what his quarterback status is, but what we do know is that this man can ball. It doesn't matter who is throwing him the ball. It doesn't matter what's going on in the offense. This is the guy that everybody has to watch out for. He's the number one threat on the field whenever he is on the field. So we're not going to continue on sugarcoating this. The only reason this guy's not number 4 and not at number 2 or number 3 is because we have 3 people in front of him that have sure situations. There's no sugarcoating it. This is what they have. Nah. You with me, Alfredo?
I'm here.
All righty. Now, after that, we do have another man that's pretty much the bread and butter for his offense, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, I don't know what Jared Goff would be without this guy, because this guy is pretty much someone that when I look into his game, catches all kinds of balls, runs all kinds of routes, as always seems to be open, and on top of that, it looks like he craves contact. When I see him play, it's like he's a running back that looking for contact to get into the end zone, to do whatever it needs to get done to be able to get touchdowns, because this is what this guy's about. Amon-Ra St. Brown is only number 5 on my list because of everybody else is in front of him. Not because of talent, not because of anything else. He, like you said, he's in a top offense in this league. He deserves to be here, and he's going to produce next year. Now, this is where my list kind of differs from yours. This is where I have Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor at number 6. Now, the reason why Jonathan Taylor here is number 6 is that, as you saw this year, they have no problems running the ball. And this last year they had Zach Moss running the ball. He ran the ball. There was no problems running the ball. And even the quarterback, a top pick in the draft, ran the ball. This guy has no problems in the future. We've seen running quarterbacks eat into the production of the running back, but in this situation, I don't think that's going to be the case. Yes, there may be some vulturing in the red zone, but everything from 20 to 20, there's going to be all this man, Jonathan Taylor. We saw what happened when the quarterback started running a little bit too much, and that's why he got injured. Who knows what would have happened if he would have not got injured? It would have been maybe a different game. But you know what? This is the reason why he's at number 6 and not higher. Not because of his game. Is more, in my opinion, is more towards the vulturing that's going to happen and the red zone. If not, he would be higher. After that, I love my running backs. I got to go with Kyren Williams. The Rams have been doing very well this year, especially after he came back from injury. As soon as this man stepped on the field, everything opened up for everybody else. There was no need for anybody else, and no second running back. Everything seemed to be in order for him to come back and dominate the backfield, and that he did. Points out of plenty. This man was in my opinion, the number 2 running back in all of fantasy football last year, and anybody who had him on their team and was in the finals should have won their finals matchup. But then again, not everybody was able to do that, especially in this league.
For sure.
Now, going to number 8, and the only reason I have this guy at number 8 is pretty much pure talent, and this is a man among boys, A.J. Brown. Now, another reason I have this guy at number 8, and he's on this list because I believe next year they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more, because I believe that tush push or the brotherly shove or whatever it is that they're calling it over there in Philadelphia is going to be taken out by the league. And the league is looking at it. They may deem it to be unsafe. I've seen whenever it is that they run that play every so often, I see Jalen Hurts pretty much limping off the field. It's because that play is not safe. That's what I believe. That's what many people believe. At the end of the day, what is that they say? It's because they can't stop it. You know what? They may be right. But the beneficiary of that play not being in the playbook is A.J. Brown. Because when they need that extra oomph, they're gonna go straight to the big man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because you put it in the air, he's gonna catch it. So off to the number 9. And this is another departure from your list. I have here Breece Hall.
Ooh.
Brees Hall in this list because this is the situation. That this year we all expected Aaron Rodgers to come back and dominate the Jets offense and make the AFC East a very competitive division. Obviously, we saw Aaron Rodgers go down this year. The first game of the year, basically in the first 5 minutes of the game, this man went down. But he is expected to come back next year and come back fully healthy. Do I believe he may get injured again? You never know with experimental situation he had going on with his injury and his recovery. Now, Brees Hall this year did very well, even with this with the situation he had with his quarterback situation, the offensive line. Everybody knows that this year that what's going to happen is they're going to hand off the ball to Brees Hall, and even still, that he did it very well when he ran. So with the addition of Aaron Rodgers, I do believe that they will do very well, especially if they're going to hand him the ball and feed him the ball. Because at the advanced stage that Aaron Rodgers is in, I don't think he wants to take that many hits. So it makes a lot of sense to me that they'll run the ball in key situations. And now, number 10 is another guy that I think that will do very well in that offense, Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson is another guy that we could look to and say that he would have been a major beneficiary to the Aaron Rodgers led New York Jets. Now, obviously, we saw a difference this year with Aaron Rodgers out, but we saw a clear separation in what the New York Jets wide receivers hierarchy is. There is a number one, a number two, and a number three receiver, and they're all Garrett Wilson. Because there's no one else in that offense at the moment that scares you. Everybody else is just a guy. Just like we've seen with Steve Smith in the past. They're just a guy unless someone decides to break out. Now, this is where I put Ja'Marr Chase at number 11. Number 11, not because of talent, because we all know Ja'Marr Chase could ball with the rest of them, mostly because of the offense and that quarterback situation. Now, I don't want to say that Joe Burrow is made of glass, but it kind of seems to me that if he gets touched a little bit too much, he's going to go down and he's going to get hurt. Now, I don't understand why the Bengals don't protect him more, or Joe Burrow himself. Maybe he tries to play hero ball a little bit too much, but he needs to understand that he is the franchise quarterback, and if that team does not produce, it's because of him. And a direct beneficiary of that is Ja'Marr Chase. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I am 100% sure that Ja'Marr Chase is going to ball. I just don't know if all those games are going to be with Burrow under center. Now, the next guy on my list, and there's the only reason why he's at number 12, is Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is at number 12 is because he has a unique situation in his backfield. You can't have two running backs producing at a high level. Yes, Jahmyr Gibbs is the younger back, but David Montgomery's not going anywhere. This man is doing very well in his offense. He is the run up the middle guy between the tackles. And David Montgomery is pretty much his whole MO is between the tackles, and that's what his coach likes. His coach likes a hard-nosed running back that can go between the tackles and dominate in the trenches. And this is who he is. Now, in the very beginning, we all saw Jahmyr Gibbs was more like a little gadget player. That he has evolved throughout the year. This is why he's at number 12. Because I believe that, yes, David Montgomery is an older back. He's still going to be there next year. But the good thing is that there's so much talent on this field that everybody's going to eat. That's why I have Jahmyr Gibbs number 12.
Okay. Very interesting, Pedro, with your selection. Obviously, I think the big difference and is my number 3 and your number 11, Ja'Marr Chase. I had him at number 3 and you had him at number 11, right?
Yeah.
So that, absolutely, that's going to cause a great debate. I mean, we would ask the people who watch the video debate, who do you think has it right? Jamar Chase at 3 or at 11? We invite the YouTube community, give a comment. I think the rest of your picks are all. It does shows that you are a big believer in the Jets team because you have two Jets player. They could be a surprise team, but it all depends on the health of Aaron Rodgers. I did not want to have any player from the Jets because even though Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be healthy, but next year it could be a year that they have to test it out. Remember, the offensive line is still in shambles. So, I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of question with it. I'm surprised that you didn't even have Bijan Robinson. Do you want to explain or answer very quickly why Bijan Robinson was not in your top 12?
Yeah, Bijan is not in my top 12 because the issue that I have with Bijan is that, yes, he did very well this year. He only pretty much, from what I saw, only had maybe, I think it was it's touchdowns in the year.
Yep.
He did not do very well. He ran great. Every time I saw the games, he looked like a number one pick. But the problem is that he wasn't used. I believe he wasn't used properly. Just like a lot of people don't think he was used properly. But the
Well,
problem,
now do you feel
Mhm,
his head coach got fired today?
mhm,
So a lot of fantasy owners are happy with that because his head coach, did not utilize it properly. There was a lot of games there that he could have given him the ball more, and
mhm.
he didn't. What's your thoughts about that? Do you think that will that help Adrian Robinson for next year?
Actually, no, I don't think that'll help Bijan Robinson for next season because this is about fantasy football. We don't know what will happen, who they will pick, what the Falcons are thinking at the moment, the head brass, what they're thinking, and a lot of times they don't. The running back position is an important position, but like we've seen all throughout the league lately, is that the running back position, no one wants to pay them. They want to draft them and then they want to let them go. The running back position isn't as important as in the league's mind as the quarterback position. And I believe in the Falcons, if they fix the quarterback position, that will propel the Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, to a better basically be a better team. What held the team back? Yes, I believe Arthur Smith was part of the reason why they were held back. But in my opinion, the biggest reason is quarterback play. You can't have bad quarterback play and expect to run the ball as much as we would like him to run the ball with the type of talent that we know that he is.
But again, this is then you're contradicting yourself because if they're getting better quarterback play next year, in which we expect for them to get better quarterback play, wouldn't that help being John Robinson? This is for our audience that might have, shoot back with you with that.
Right, repeat the question because you're breaking up a little bit.
No, that you're in a way contradicting on what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta's not going to have a better quarterback. So you said last year that affected Robinson and the rest of the team because there wasn't a good quarterback. Next year, they're expected to get a better quarterback. They're not going to come back with Ritter next year. So don't you think that will help Bijan Robinson?
It'll help Bijan Robinson, but the problem is that, as we've seen, rookie quarterbacks aren't always the answer in the very beginning. How many years did we see Trevor Lawrence just do Trevor Lawrence things and not come up to the potential of a first overall pick? It doesn't. You don't always get a CJ Stroud. You don't always get Tua. And especially look, Tua. How many years did it take for Tua to become the guy that we know he is today? You know.
Yeah, but environment affects too. Trevor Lawrence, and we will discuss this when we have our top 10 quarterbacks for next year. Um, I think Trevor Lawrence, and I still believe he is going to be an elite quarterback, an excellent quarterback. He got held back because of the environment, and we're talking about fantasy. He got
Mhm.
held back because of his coaches. I think the same thing could happen to Bijan Robinson. I think once you get rid of Arthur Smith, the Falcons have the skill set, the playmakers around. I think he might explode. But of course, this is your rankings. Obviously, we're going to be discussing back and forth. But absolutely, we enjoy this conversation and this back and forth with the mock draft.
No, yeah, of course. It's just like I'm telling you, this is a mock draft. This is way too early, but we're doing it for fun. This is we're doing an entertaining show today because we don't know if these players are actually going to be the people that are going to be in the first round next year. But this is our expert opinions because we've been playing fantasy football for a while. This is what I believe. Like I saw, you didn't have Brees Hall or Garrett Wilson in your top 12. They were nowhere near your top 12. And then even here, Kerry Williams was in different locations.
Yeah,
we all think Kerry Williams is great. You think he's better than I think he is. That's all it is.
Okay. Well, definitely, 2024 season can't come fast enough. As we continue through, we'll be posting. We'll talk about quarterbacks on our next episode. Top 10 quarterbacks that we project for fantasy, for football, the actual game for next year, 2024. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the video, and we'll continue further.
Alrighty. If you guys don't agree with anything that we say, we're complete idiots. Put it in the comments. That's all that needs to be done. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you don't like it. At the end of the day, all that helps. But if you do have a constructive criticism to say, please put it in the comments. We would love to hear it.
We love to discuss fantasy football, and people have different opinions. I would love to hear your rankings.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.